Hello and welcome to round 1 of 4 of the MVP Open presented by OTB. I'm Madison Walker.
I'm Erika Stinchcomb. We're the two hot geese.
Honk. This is our second playoff event.
Final playoff
Event. We're heading into the Pro Tour Championships. Right now, everyone is jockeying for points right now. That is what is important. It's worth 150 points for first place, so basically 1.5 times more than any of our elite events besides Declo this year.
Yep, and what we're all trying to do is get into that top 20 to get your spot into the Pro Tour Championship. Biggest purse all year, the most prestige. This is the goal. This is what we've been working towards all year.
The only person that does have a bye outside the top 20 is Valerie Mandujano. She is in 33rd place, but with that win at Idlewild, she is in. Paige Pierce also falling that way, but we'll see what happens with her injury. The reason points are so important right now is because you get a stroke advantage going into the Pro Tour Championship. So the higher you are, the less you have to work when you get to the big cash money event, the Pro Tour Championships at the end of the year in North Carolina.
Yeah, we'll run through that more as we get there. Just know it's a new format, and the better you do, like Kristin Tattar will have the biggest advantage going in, followed by Missy Gannon and etc. You can read and do math. Things that we struggle with, as you all know. Check out this list to see our top 20 and kind of looking at these points. We'll see the bubble here right at 20 and see how close it is. This is a 4-round tournament with no cut, so everyone has the opportunity to get in that 20th spot.
Everyone right here in 25 through really 28, even down into 30th place, has a chance. It's just about how high up the leaderboard you can shoot. You guys heard of Maple Hill before. It is one of the most famous courses in the world and the top course on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Number 6, it's always usually in the top 5. It must have slid back the last year or so.
The most iconic shot apparently is hole 1, but there's so many. Over the Christmas trees, as we see here. Thanks to UDISC for all of the great stats we use all of the time and we follow as the tournament goes forward. Here's some stats now. Kristin Tattar, through the 2023 season, she has hit 80% of the fairways. First there, she is landing in the circle in regulation 42% of the time, first there, and birdieing 39% of holes.
That's really hard to fathom.
Wow.
Missy Gannon not far behind, hitting 76% of the fairway. She's second place in scramble as well, so if she is off the fairway, she is getting to give herself a putt and then hitting 80% of her Circle 1X putts.
Great to see Scoggins back in action. Had to pull out of Worlds due to an injury, but here she is ready to go. She's first in Circle 1X putting, hitting 83%, third in Circle 2 putting, and fourth in birdie rate.
Ella Hansen is going to round out our feature card. These are the top 4 women currently in top of the point standing. She's 5th place in park percentage, 11% of the holes. That's
wow.
Crazy. No putting. Hole 1, 695 feet. We start off with a big downhill shot. It's not as downhill as you'd like it to be, though, because you are definitely thinking, can I get across the water? Unless you're one of these ladies with a big arm. They've shortened this pin up significantly, put it right in the mouth of this gap with out of bounds in the rocks on both right and left. So it's a little difficult to shoot the gap, especially from as far back as tee shots are landing.
California, own Scoggins.
I see a lot of people just laying up to the mouth of the gap on their second shot.
Wow, interesting to see Own going forehand actually for the layup. It looks like she's shaking her hand out, so her elbow, I'm assuming, is still bothering her a little bit. This is like such a wild play, such a typical Own shot to do something that no one else is doing.
Yeah. And that left side is a great bailout zone if you don't feel like you have the distance. We do have a headwind today. It's the first round we've practiced this week with any sort of wind at all.
It's been so stagnant all week. You've been praying for a wind.
Yeah, it's been hot. Today we woke up, it's 58. Hello, it's freezing.
It's fall.
It's fall, suddenly.
Great shot across the pond from Kristin. It is almost 350 to clear the pond, but as Madison said, downhill. So everyone can do it, but I think even just a few years ago, clearing the pond was just such a special feat. And now we're seeing more and more women do it. It's just really fun to watch FPO's progress. But even Missy Gannon, certified big arm, going bailout play left.
I'm telling you, we have not played in any sort of wind, so everyone's feeling the nerves on hole 1's tee pad. Just Just getting across is good. You know, Ella's not thinking about that at all, though. She's just going probably for the green.
Yeah. If you get across or land far enough in the bailout zone on the left, it's actually pretty, I don't want to say easy birdie, but very scoreable now that they've shortened it. I would say this is probably the biggest change, of the year, or, you know, of the course this year.
Definitely.
Ella absolutely annihilating that one.
Yeah, any other course changes we're going to see were mostly just because of course drainage issues. So no big changes to the course for any sort of scoring reasons or to make holes easier or harder. The course played pretty difficult last year in and of itself. I believe 1 over par is what won after 4 rounds
Yeah,
last year.
we've definitely seen plenty of under par rounds, but usually it's like barely under par.
Yep.
This is a very difficult course, and
The final round last year was the best weather we had, and I think we had a couple 5s, couple 4s, and a handful
and
of
that's
3s.
so good out here.
That's very good.
Missy lays up pretty well.
It's a pretty little shot.
So
right here.
pretty. This is so typical Maple too. Like you're in the fairway, but also in some tiny trees and shrubberies and all sorts of stuff.
Kristin going to be left of the gap, pushing just too far from where she was, but it'll be very straightforward to get up and down.
Gosh, look at this from Ella. I'd want to call it a simple pitch up, but it is kind of nervy, and this is honestly a smart play. The pin used to be, 50 feet back from there?
And into the right.
So it's kind of nice that you can pitch up and still have a putt from the mouth of the gap.
Oh, and it looks like she's almost trying to get to the green. She catches some trees and thankfully kicks backwards out of bounds, but that was a risky shot.
Yeah, it was a pretty fortunate break. Huh. Kristin tries to throw a little Anheuser forehand, but it turns into a bit of a roller, leaves herself just outside the circle.
Look at that flag to the left of Missy. We could still feel the wind on this green here. That's why everyone's shorting their shots a little bit here. Weirdly scary approach.
It is. It's easy to let this one get away from you. Ella from about 45-ish for birdie. Nah.
This played is the hardest hole of the day.
Oh, still, even shortened.
Yep, just wake up and play the hardest hole ever
Yeah. Not ever.
of the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ever of the day.
I mean, probably top 5 ever. No.
Kristin trying to save par here, but coming up just a little bit short. 67% of the field with a similar problem. A lot of bogeys out here.
Missy cleaning up a really nice par with a super solid putt to start.
Only one person got to circle 1.
Wow. Oh, no. I think we'll see
So where
that
Ella
clean up, but
where Ella just putted from, I landed there as well. It is like a very strange
oof.
dead zone right there, and you honestly do not have a putt.
I had to do it too, but I had a little more going straddling the other way. But it is strangely difficult. Yeah. That last comebacker that she had, that was pretty brutal, and this is like a rough mental start now for Ella.
That's what I was about to say. It's like when that happens, you are kind of thrown off the rest of the day if you don't have just the most insane mental game ever. That won't get anyone. 2 little shorties like that.
It'll be interesting to see Ella mentally battle back. Everyone, even. No one got it. Really, no one got it. Wow.
Nope, no birdies.
Hole 2 is a par 3, 299 feet, same hole we have had for years past, though we will have a different position on moving day. There's an OB rock wall on the right, casual little creek bog area. This rock wall in the center kind of catches a lot of shots if you don't give it some height. You can see that's the shortened pin on the left. That'll just be for Saturday. We are playing the longer one up on the right. Kind of a flip-up turnover, I think, is the ideal play for the right-hand backhand shot. Something a little flippy. This is a mistake to make. If you're going to make one, just head towards those trees. If you pull it over the wall, it can compound very quickly.
It's 299, but it's very slightly uphill. It does feel a little longer than that, especially since you're kind of almost having to throw a flex shot to get there.
I was wondering, do you see very many people throw the forehand? I think it's a really cool play, but ooh, nice shot. I was going to say it kind of gets stuck on the rock wall really easily, I think.
Yeah, and you do have to have the distance, and it's really difficult to throw a hyzer forehand because, like, you're finishing towards that out-of-bounds wall, and if you land with any speed, you could get a flare skip over the wall pretty easily.
That was a fantastic shot from Owen.
Yeah,
this
so
is
cool.
gorgeous from Kristin. She's throwing her Orbit St. Pro into the bullseye.
That's so good.
Thank you.
I think it's like you want to throw a mid-range here, but a fairway is the play.
I think so too.
It just feels a little risky, but you got to take a risk.
Gosh, look at how perfect this is. Wow. Ella looking like she's going a little bit slower speed here. Looks a little bit early, not quite enough turn. She's going to be caught up in those trees.
So this played as the third easiest hole of the day. Top three, but still only 14% of the field taking a birdie. Just a reminder, we do only have 36 competitors in the field because this is a playoff. You had to qualify, and they limited the field. So only 36 of our top FPO players out here. What a great scramble shot from Ella.
That was beautiful. It can be tough in there in the middle of those trees.
So 14% of the field birding. That's only 5 people getting this birdie.
There's one. Sweet forehand from Owen. Owen would go forehand on 1 and 2.
I bet no one else.
Classic. Kristin with a picture perfect backhand drive for her first birdie. And Ella and Missy with pars. That one feels good.
Still just even par is good.
So many E's.
Yeah. Birdies are hard to come by out here.
They are.
Hole 3 is no different. 354 feet, very slightly uphill. We had a headwind today. This hole will bully you. Early left, early right, both are not great. There is an out of bounds line if you don't get through that initial gap off the tee. But honestly, I love this hole. It can steal my lunch money any day, and I will enjoy it. But there is one of the classic mistakes, just turning over early. That one tree can kick you so far right or so far left, and they're both impossible to recover from.
I kind of like the play of just turning something over and letting it continue to turn to the right rather than working an aggressive flex. And that's where they put the basket that they're going to have for Saturday on the right. Yep. I feel like that I'm aiming for that basket, even though it's only there one day. Yep. That's what I like.
That's smart. Because I think being left side's worse, don't you think?
Unless you filter like Missy is, but you got to get lucky.
Yeah.
Just like that. And that can go wrong very quickly. I think generally you're correct that the right side's a bit more open. Ooh, Ella going right side of that fairway tree. Always feels really risky, but actually ends up playing really well generally.
That's almost the fairway 2 hit, even though it's not a fairway.
Yeah, it feels reckless, but I think oftentimes you end up with better results.
Own in the brush pile. We've been there before. There's one on the left too. A nice uphill standstill shot. She'll have a long putt. It's in own range.
The own zone?
The own zone. Kristin in a similar spot, but not able to bite off quite as much.
Hard to see how much of a look Kristin's going to have from there. Oh, not much. Just another forehand chip shot. Looked like maybe a soft go at it, but it's going to be a bogey for Kristin.
Oh.
That was definitely a run from Owen. It's like about 15 feet outside circle 2.
Yeah, she's deep in the own zone. Ella with a look for birdie here.
Looks a little weird with the extra tassels, but that looks to be about 45, 50 feet.
Ooh, so smooth. We had a pretty good little wind on this green. It was definitely something you're thinking about. This is the first time we've played an intense wind in a little while, probably since Ledgestone.
Dang, Missy unable to capitalize on that drive. Yeah, I just wish we got to practice in the wind.
Same.
It really changed.
Because you throw a lot of slower speed disc if there's no wind, but then the second there's a little bit of wind, you're like, wait a second.
Wait a second.
How do I throw my overstable disc in the woods?
Recklessly. And hole 3 taking lunch money.
Yep.
As it does.
Only one birdie today. Haley King. That's enough to put her in the lead through 3.
Hole 4 is something. It is a par 3 downhill 246 feet. You can jump putt. You could throw a backhand standstill. You could throw a backhand run up. You can throw a forehand hyzer flip. You can throw a tomahawk. You can throw a thumber. You can just do whatever your little heart desires, but you might hit a tree on your way down here. It's an elevated pin. There's water right behind, though. There is a wall that can help you stay in bounds. There's a mandatory on the right side. Just hit the initial probably 2 gaps and get halfway down, and it's an easy par. But like this is a typical result. Very difficult hole for how short it is.
And strokes can stack quickly because the approach is very steep downhill. So if you come in too hot, you can easily skip out of bounds in the water, or you go too soft and you don't get far enough. And next thing you know, you're having to putt on an elevated pin from a little farther than you're comfortable.
So smooth here from Ella. I love the forehand, but it is so tight. It takes a lot of control to do what Ella just did.
Yeah, that was so impressive.
I mean, look at it. The backhand, you can kind of work the right side like Owen is doing. Much bigger gap.
But it's a little bit of a poke and hope.
A little bit.
Oh, there's a line of trees that you have to get by. Owen gets through all of them.
Don't worry, that one wasn't a destroyer. It was a champion rock 3. This looks like a pure from Kristin. We don't see her use this for too many forehands, and maybe she should do more because wow.
Oh yeah, catches one of the last little trees and backboards right outside the bullseye.
That was gorgeous. Kind of an awkward little approach from Missy, but she does that really well.
Owen coming back for birdie up the hill.
Nice. Who needs pars?
Christmas card.
I mean, we are at Maple, Christmas Tree Farm.
A nice scramble from Missy showing why she leads the field in scrambles.
And why she needs pars. And Ella bouncing back really well after those first hole kind of putting woes. Love it. 3 birdies.
25% of the field getting birdies. 75% of our feature card. Yo ho.
Alexis Mandujano and Evelina Salonen joining Haley King at that 1 under through 4 mark.
Oh, hole 5. The drone is taking the route that you can throw if you have a meaty forehand or you really trust your backhand turnover game. But most players are going to take the hyzer route, not over the water at all. Ella, of course, going to go this big forehand route.
There are more and more people taking this.
Really?
As we get better. Mm-hmm.
The backhand route on the right side, while safe, is so tough and can
You
so
still
quickly,
are probably in a bogey.
yeah, it can turn into a bogey immediately because there's so many guardian trees over there.
That is so good from Ella.
Off the fairway, please.
That is ridiculously good. She made that look so easy.
Looks like 20% of the field getting to circle 1
Nice.
regulation. So a ton of people are doing it. 'Cause it's
A
almost
lot. We used to see maybe like 3 or 4, and I think now there's,
Because it's almost
probably
impossible to get to the circle
10 to
from
12.
the backhand edge.
Yeah. Yep. Unless you go risky middle gap.
And you have to look like Owen just did. And you have to get kind of lucky, too.
Yeah. This is crazy, too, because it is so much more left to right moving action than it looks on screen. Like, they are making that shot look so easy.
We did have a favorable win.
That's true.
For this today.
It was pretty left to right. I promise this is still the most typical play, though, what Missy's about to do.
Yes.
She's going to go outside hyzer route, as Madison mentioned. Really hard to get all the way up there. If you get one big flare skip, it's possible, but it's just so unlikely.
So that line of trees where Missy is the most classic landing zone, and you're left with this exact shot, either a backhand little flex putter shot or a forehand flex.
Tiny baby gaps.
Baby gap, so you're just hoping Missy executes well. Scramble queen.
Yeah, no hope there. Well, okay, that's the wrong way to say it. That was just purely technical and good. She wasn't just like, oh, we'll see. She laced it.
Owen getting to circle 2, taking that risky middle gap that can catch one tree and find out of bounds. So big ups to her.
Kristin for a birdie comes up short. Oh no. Ella misses her birdie bid too. I gotta give a shout out to Raven Klein, who went backhand left gap over the water.
Whoa.
With a mid-range and made it
Nice.
to just outside the circle.
God, that's a scary shot.
Yeah, I
In
couldn't
a
believe
tight
it.
Gap.
Mm-hmm.
There's not many of those soldiers out here to choose that line.
Yeah. Someone's got to do it, I guess.
Par is okay on this one.
Yeah,
There's only 4 birdies on the day.
Kind of a bummer, Kristin and Ella pretty close for that birdie. Who got it?
Let's see. Evelina Salonen, Haley King, Natalie Ryan, and Anakin Steen.
I was on Natalie's card. She got it through the middle gap with a solid putt.
Oh, I wonder if Anakin, she doesn't throw big forehands, does she? I wonder if
She throws some forehands. I'm not sure, though, if she would have. Yeah, I'd love to know. Missy looking not very Maple Hill-like on that scorecard, keeping it so clean.
Yeah.
Hole 6, weirdly difficult, par 3, 315 feet, dead straight, OB rock wall on the right. They kind of cleared out the left side landing zone, so I kind of like a straight play that maybe leaks a little bit left to give you a look. I guess flex forehand's a play. Most of the time you see either mid-range or fairway driver right down the middle that fades left, because going right side is a horrible mistake. That is unbelievable.
Did that go over OB?
I think it was pushing that rock wall the entire time. And did it go to the right of those
That's what I'm
trees?
saying.
I kind of think it did.
I think it did too.
Wow.
It's so funny how during practice you throw just like your little flip up mid-range or fairway
Oh, yeah, no
shot.
problem.
Yeah,
Easy.
and then you get here and you're like, wow, is there even a gap?
Yeah. This is the more typical shot from Owen. And she's going to have a look at it from over there.
All of a sudden that left side, left side corner tree.
Oh,
looks
yeah.
huge. You're like, wait, was that even there during practice?
Oh, cool. Flex forehand. You don't see this a ton, but I actually think that that's the shot.
Wow, and that gets through everything.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that doesn't happen very often.
That's her grand glory.
It's a really
But I don't know-
effective tree barrier right there.
How many flex forehands do you see on this? It feels pretty reckless.
No, I think that is actually, if you have it, that is the shot.
Yeah, but you just don't see it.
No.
I guess no one has it.
Yeah.
Like, not even Owen did that.
Yeah, I was throwing it last year. Hokum does it. Jessica Weiss does it.
Okay.
I guess the classic forehanders.
Missy gonna lay up a forehand, catch a tree, get a little bit of a roll. It's pretty obstructed over here. It looks like she has kind of an Anheuser bid. It's tight, though.
This is the 3rd most difficult hole, and you can see why even Missy was not able to scramble this one. Only 3 birdies on the day.
Owen for birdie.
A lot of out-of-bounds strokes, I'm sure. Oof. Trying to be aggressive up the middle, which is kind of what you have to do at Maple. It makes you choose. And on day 1, like, everyone's going to choose to go a little more aggressive.
Ella coming back at it. Looks to be pretty close to the edge of the circle. Comes up a little left side.
And here we start hearing the 8 holes. And great birdie from Kristin.
Yeah.
So good. Holly Finley and Cynthia Ricciati also getting that one.
Missy's first bogey of the round.
Kristin going to take the lead on our feature card. 1 stroke back from Haley King, 2 down through 6. What a good start. Hole 7, 316 feet. We have a longer tee pad this year because the tee pad we usually play has a tendency to flood, so we got pushed back, and it makes this hole a lot harder. It's much more difficult because you have to throw a distance driver through this gap to get all the distance you need. It is uphill, plays much longer than that 316 feet. It just feels crazy to rip a distance driver through this little narrow gap. Bailing out to the right, I think, is the safest play. Hitting and catching early left or right can be absolutely brutal and almost impossible to recover your par from.
Yeah, it's so weird. This used to be just kind of a stock straight pushing shot that had hyzered at the end, and now it's like a dead straight uphill 320-foot shot. And it's fine if you fade a little, but just straight is fine. And what Ella just did, I think she stayed in bounds, but like that is kind of typical. This is a very difficult shot now.
The caddy guide doesn't show that OB on the left, but there is an out of bounds line over there.
Really
early.
Yeah, really short.
Just to keep, there's a little bog over there just to keep you out of the wet foot area.
And own with one of the better shots you're gonna see. It's definitely possible to get inside the circle. I don't love this change, but it's fine.
It's necessary just because of the
flooding.
But yeah, I don't love it either.
Really increased the difficulty of the hole, even though it's
didn't play that much more difficult though. So weird.
That is interesting. Ella from a really rough spot over here, short left, throws a roller though.
Wow.
Gets some serious distance.
She's about pin high.
Yeah, and circle 2 it looks like. Cool shot.
Kristin eyeing the sky for a flex forehand. Gets tangled up and doesn't quite get inside the circle.
Kristin just conceding another bogey here.
Only one person got inside the circle for birdie on this hole. But 30% got to circle 2. What a big jump.
Yeah. Oh, not much of a look there for her birdie. Just lays up for par. Missy got a tree right in her way. About 55 feet away uphill. Ooh. Solid bid.
There were 3 birdies today. Evelina Salonen, Lisa Fakis, and Stacy Ronsley all getting those birdie 2s. And man, that's a good one to get. You guys can see why Maple Hill plays as one of the hardest courses all year. These birdies are so hard to find out here, and getting bogeys is so easy.
On to my favorite, hole 8, home of the 8 holes. Zach Benson, king of the 8 holes, getting married this week. He started this tradition. We're going to see a really fun crowd here as we carry this 299-foot shot, par 3. It's essentially an island, and if you miss the island, it is a drop zone death putt from about 50 or so feet straight at the water.
But it's super downhill too.
You see mostly, I would say, backhand, like fairway drivers. You don't see a ton of forehands, but, you know, there's own for you. Just doing it and barely making it. What a shot. She cleared it by like 6 inches.
So crazy to make that from that angle, too, because that left side guardian tree sticks out. So it's so interesting to hit the forehand.
Oh, man. Missy going trusty thrasher, nice and smooth. Just needs to beat that last tree. Or not. Or just hit it and park it.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Awesome. So the 8 holes weren't quite in full swing yet, but you can just hear their enthusiasm. That's what I go and do after my round. I go hang out with them.
They have so much candy.
Yeah.
Candy for days.
Kristin slowing things down a little bit with a burst verdict, giving it some nice height. Fading too much, though. That's the thing. It feels cool to throw a slower speed disc, but you really need just so much height and spin.
Well, and we had a headwind today. So
straight
like
headwind.
All of our practice, like I was throwing a mid comfortably, and I got there today and disc up to a driver, and it still wasn't quite enough. Ella throwing it nice and high with that slower speed disc. It gets through everything, but sadly she's going to be to the right of the OB line on the right side of the green.
Yeah, that OB line is maybe just outside this circle. It's pretty tight on that side.
And check out this death putt with the scuba diver in the pond, too.
Oh, I love that she ran it. So much respect.
This is the only island on tour that I get excited about missing, so I can run this putt.
Literally, I've hit basket on this hole for ace, and it did not feel as good as making this putt.
So true.
Oh, what a good run. I love it. You see a lot of layups from the drop zone.
Ew.
Yeah, Matt and I are never fans of the layup.
Owen with a nice birdie. Missy with a tap in. 36% of the field birdieing this hole.
Sweet.
But then only 11% pars. It's only 5 pars. The rest were bogeys, 53. So strangest scoring separation ever. Birdie or bogey type of hole.
And we're going to grab our candy, move on to the next hole, come back after the round, party with these guys. Evelina and Haley King leading the way, 3 down through 8. That's so good. Own tied with Alexis Mandujano at 1 down. Everyone else even or over par.
Hole 9. 400 feet, but that distance is comical because this is like almost a 3-shot hole.
It is comical.
You throw straight up this hill with something slower. You want to land right here. Ideally, you see a lot of shots fading left or going too far straight into that tree line. If you're in the middle and wide open, you can throw this downhill shot to the island green. You can go deep, though, so it's not a full island. That little moat in front is out of bounds and the water to the right. It's all about being in position here to try to get that birdie. One nice change, though, is usually this basket's elevated, and this year it is nice and low, which I love that change.
Me
for this
too.
hole.
It
allows you to be more aggressive. I think.
Yeah, you can run it kind of from the short side easier, or if you go a little deep, which is typical on your approach shot.
Ooh,
This is such a strange tee pad.
It is so strange. I was wondering if people were throwing sidearms here.
Yeah, it feels kind of risky with that tree on the right, kind of halfway up the hill. But I think it's a cool play. It's just if you end up short right, that's probably the worst place you could be.
Yeah, you have to have really good, solid, comfortable distance, I think.
This looks so good from Ella. She's going to be near that short tee pad, maybe just one final tree to contend with. But she'll be able to see the pin, unlike Own. This is a risky shot to go all the way for it from here. Respect.
Yeah.
She's just trying to get down there. There's an OB line on that side, which I think she gets kind of close-ish to, but she looks just fine.
She won't necessarily maybe have an open putt over there, but we'll see what she has to work with.
Oh, yeah, I don't think it's a putt. It's still a short approach for sure.
Missy just chipping up as well.
That was really soft.
That was
Huh.
very conservative.
Okay. It's fine, though. I swear, How often have you landed exactly right here?
I did today.
Exactly right there.
I
Yeah. Like that's the spot. You think that's a perfect drive, and then that's the exact gap that you're left with every time. You're like, ah,
Look at Kristin's
this is
drive.
amazing.
So good.
That is unbelievably good.
I
Wow.
really wish we could have like a graphic that shows where everyone's drives landed, like on the field.
Yeah, because Kristin would be 50 feet past everybody
Yes.
else.
Yeah, I think hers was definitely way on the edge of the bell curve.
She's like, oh, 400 feet? That's not laughable. We don't laugh in Estonia. We just play the hole for birdie. Oh,
no.
bummer. Missy leaving that short. She's going to have to take it on the short side of that little inlet.
Alexis and I were talking today. These short side putts do look a little bit longer than they actually are. Like everyone's just barely sneaking over the wall, kind of.
Well, if you blow too far past it, the
tough.
rough comes into play pretty quickly, and then you're not left with much of a comebacker.
Oh, and with a really safe look at it, she doesn't really have to think too hard about the OB. Missy having to take it from the short side to save bogey.
I think she's maybe 40, probably a little less.
Yeah, I was going to say like 30, 25 or 30.
You think that's still inside the circle on the short side?
I think so.
Huh. Cool. Great putt, regardless.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, because I think the bullseye marker is right on the short side wall.
Huh.
So I think it's still a pretty short putt just on the edge. The layups all feel like 45, 50 feet.
Kristin for birdie. Nice. She finds herself back at even par. 4 birdies, 4 bogeys.
One of only 5 birdies on the day. Deanne Carey, Holland Hanley, Lucky Lawrenson, Katrina Allen taking birdie threes.
400 feet. LOL.
MVP 400.
Yeah, it's a different level.
And Evelina and Haley are going to keep their lead with 3 down through 9, and that is such a good start out here, especially with the wind. Owen Scoggins looking solid as ever, 1 down through 9, coming back from that elbow injury.
Alexis and Kristin tied at even, 4th place. Lisa Vegas and several others tied at 6 at 1 over, and then we just see that those scores crawl up and over par, which honestly is typical.
Yep.
Even at Maple is gonna guarantee you top 10 at least.
Yep, it's so rare to see players under par here at all. So stacking them up while you can is great, but you just kind of have to let yourself get those bogeys and be okay with them. We got 9 more holes in round 1 of 4, so come hang out with us. I'm Madison Walker.
I'm Erika Stinchcomb. We're the 2 hot geese.
Honk.
Honk.